Today is all about working on this, creating your impact plan. So I wanted to go ahead. Hold on one second. There's a big pop-up in front of me. So I would love to go into this, create an impact plan. So one thing to start from is we all have different meanings for impact. So I want to ask you, what does impact mean to you? Because this is all about creating an impact. Now you think about, you can just go into the chat, just type it into the chat. That'd be great because I think we can read these off quicker. What does impact mean to you? Because it is a big topic. You think about, a big impact. Okay, we're starting to get some through. Influence, contribution to the end user. Love it. Keep coming. Transformation. Any others? There we go. Leaving people better than we met them. I think that's one of my favorite things to say. Disrupting mindsets. Positive change in a significant way. Oh, these are awesome. And you guys are so unique in your impact already. What does impact mean? I looked it up just basically in the dictionary. It said to have a strong effect on someone or something. Now that's an impact. Obviously, there's other definitions for that, but for what we're talking about, strong effect or an effect on someone or something. Now, think about who in your life has had an impact on you, because as we talk about the impact we want to create in the world, there are people that have impacted us, and it might have been just a moment in time. So type into the chat somebody that has impacted you in your life, and if you want to add something extra like why, that can also help this conversation a little bit for you too, because you think about all the people we have met. It might be a parent, it might be, a godparent, it might be, a college professor, it could have been your boss, it could have been a friend that said something very inspirational. So who has impacted you? And the reason I bring this up is because we are impacting people every single day. We choose it consciously or not. We are having an impact. What we do, what we say, everything we're about is all part of this. So if anybody wants to share, I don't know, I don't see anything come through on the chat yet. Maybe I've got you guys. Oh, here we go. Let me read them off real quick. Teacher forced me to do things I didn't want to do at the time. Mindfulness coach, the energy you put in is the energy you will work. College mentor who invested time and patience in my life. Niece, because she is tenacious and simultaneously grace-filled. Awesome. And here's one more. Mother and grandmother, strong female influence, taught me to be bold in my values. Thank you for sharing. So when we think about the impact we want to make, we get to get that choice. But I want to step back one step, because if we have a strong effect on something or someone, something has to be driving us. And usually, we've got high school teacher who encouraged us to use our voice. Awesome. So our purpose. I want to back one step up before we talk about the impact and what we're creating with our impact. There's something that's driving us, and that being our purpose. Now, purpose can seem, most people in careers, if they are running a business, usually you start, I've got this purpose. But if you're in a career position, sometimes my personal purpose might be different than the overall company purpose. And so that was asking that question of what is driving me to get up in the morning to do what I do that is just naturally me, that I am just great at, that I love, and I can contribute. And I bring this up because there's another piece to this, and that is, how do we use our purpose and pull it into our impact? So what is driving us to get up every morning, and what effect is that having on those that we're working with, if it be in our business or in our organization? So the definition for purpose that I wrote down was the reason for which something is done or created, for which something exists, one's intention or objective, the aim or goal of a person, what a person is trying to do or become, or the feeling of being determined to do or achieve something. So does anybody know, like right off, can type it in, my purpose is this? Does anybody know their purpose? So I can move into that purpose to impact. If anybody knows their purpose, just very clear, type it in. If you're saying, I'm still working on it, I'm close, I know, go ahead and start putting those in. I'm going to read you a quote that just touched my heart. It said, Mark Twain said, 2 of the most important days in our life are the day that we were born and the day we learn why. So there's something powerful about who we are, what we're doing every day, and the contribution we get to make, even if it seems small, it is making an impact on somebody, somewhere, somehow. Okay, so I said invite others into their most authentic selves. Awesome. Anybody else? And then we'll move on. Love it. All right, if any pop up, we'll read it. Purpose, green beauty, wellness, advocacy. The purpose of my life is to minimize the emotion side effects of cancer and eliminate a culture of fear around cancer. Ooh, elevating great people and causes and promoting health and wellness. Love it. A lot of people touching people in many ways here. You guys are all touching people. Great purposes. Thinking about your purpose and what you want to do. Think about the role you have. Every day you have tasks and things and duties you're doing, right? One thing that I want to bring up for is you're going to have a worksheet, and it's going to talk about your role in the organization. It's going to be talking about who can you work with? How are you building those networks? What ideas do you have? What value can I bring to the organization? So I want to come from this purpose to impact is this is inside of your business. And how can I really pull this out of you that you want to create in this world that becomes so aligned with what you're doing that you can love what you do and do what you love every single day? So for the first kind of section I want to talk about is really that role. You have tasks and duties you're doing every day. And if we were to talk about expectations, do you know in your role what you are also expected to do? Like if you're working with somebody, or if you are, you take on all these things. And sometimes some people will say in a company like, oh, it wasn't my job, or I wasn't supposed to do that. Oh, they were supposed to do that. So I want to kind of bring in this, what is my daily activities? Maybe Linda, you can read off. Can anybody, can you share with me what is, if you were to say, do you know exactly what your roles and activities and expectations are in your role today?
I'll read it through once we start getting responses. Helen's was the most recent one. She said, elevating great people and causes and promoting health and wellness. So that was to the last question, and we'll start getting new answers, I think, in a second.
So understanding our role. So I'll just talk while we guys are typing. So understand my role might entail what am I doing every single day? And how does this show who I am? So I know sometimes that we get into our roles and sometimes we will be so inclined to get what we need to get done, but sometimes what we're doing also affects other people. So think about everything we do has an impact. Everything I say, everything, every email, how long it takes me to get things done, this is having an impact. So no matter if you like it or not, the impact you want to create is also the impact that you are showing through action. And that is it. It's not just only what we say we want in ourselves and our good intentions. It's also, what are we physically on the ground doing every day? How are we interacting? I always like to think about if you were to walk into the building and you're saying hi to everybody and you're connecting with everybody, think about the tribe that you can build inside of an organization and how connected you can be. You want, people you want them on your team when it comes to stuff, especially if you got great ideas and you want to take them to management, you want to take them up the ladder, you want to create something, and you've been building this network of people in your organization that just love what you do, love the work you have, love your tenacity, love that you're getting everything done. But that takes time. Trust is built over time. Somebody can initially trust us right away, but it takes time to build that. So it's only in our actions that we get to show that every single day. So we have recruiting clients, coach certification, face-centered life design, expanding the business. Love it. So when it comes down to our daily, and I hope, is this touching you guys at all? Those daily actions, what my role is, thinking about how that impact is every single day. If I want to create everything I want in my life, what does that really look like? And then who do I need to be working with? I say, if we can have the leadership mindset that if we can take out the trash if it needs to go out, no matter for the CEO all the way to the very beginner, sales rep coming in, if we have that mentality, think about what is possible. You watch that show probably, Undercover Boss. What happens when that boss goes down and he works through with people at every stage of the business? Some of the best leaders are the ones that go through and they they actually do every single role, so they can lead from the inside out because they know what their people are doing. They know the stresses they have. They know what's coming up, and they can also read people. Think about when the impact we want to have with the people around us. If you're able to take a moment, so many times we go, I'm so busy. I don't have time. I got to get here. But that you saw that person and you know something's going on. And if you just said, hey, how you doing? And you spent 2 minutes with them, what could that do for their life? So think about this. Every single day we have these times that we get to have these huge impacts, and it might seem small, but over time it builds up, that you have that opportunity. So understand your key players and build them within your organization. Another great tip, just because we worked with individuals that would go from in the corporate space, we were working with them. They'd come in brand new. They didn't know what they were doing. They would train. They would work for 2 to 3 years, and then they would go into management and they'd work up the roles. But if you know the roles, then you can start to mentor. You can start to sit down, ask the questions. What are they doing? What are they learning? How are they coming? How did they get to where they are? What certifications did they need? What degrees did they need? What can you do now that you can reverse engineer your goals, right? Your SMART goals, to get you to where you want to be in your organization, if it be 1 year, 2 year, 3 years from now. Okay, I'm going to pause there for a second. When it comes to this, I want to ask you, when it comes to your goals, because you guys just set goals, do you have goals inside your business that you know the next step in your business, or do you know the next step in your career that you can take to get to the next level? I'm all about raising the bar. So do you know the next bar step up? Do you know what that is, or what it might take to get there? And this is all about that impact. How are we creating that every day? What are we doing to get there? It might be baby steps. It might be, crawling some days. It might be running some days. It's taking those and keeping moving forward. So what is the next step up for you? And do you have that action plan? If you don't, this is an awesome time, because you're going to have a whole worksheet on this. How do I know where do I want to get my company? And what is it going to take maybe in 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year? Do I need to get a certification? Do I need to get another degree? Is that necessary? Or do I need to talk to people in my organization? Do I need to talk to people that have done this other than myself, that I can follow in their footsteps? So next step for Kate is maximizing connections, maybe gain a certification. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. So you might be saying, well, that's awesome, Amanda. You've given us a lot of good things, but how am I going to get this all done? Where am I going to get the time? I'm already full. And now you're saying I need to plan out my next steps of my business. I want to challenge you. What is possible, even if you did these worksheets, if you took 10 to 15, maybe 20 minutes a day, only on what you wanted to accomplish in the next step of your career? It might be filling out, this might be completing this program, and that might be your next step. And then it might be something else. Time blocking in its very infancy is so dynamic. If you can time block your calendar, prospecting this time, networking here, maybe mentorship here. Now these are all client meetings, emails and follow-ups, preparation for client meetings. If you're able to block your calendar, you will take back control of your time versus it controlling you. And you running around trying to go, I have got all these things happening. So I'm going to challenge you to, that impact is part of the choices we make, but it's also the implementation we bring with it. How are we implementing what we want? And maybe if that be the one thing that you remember is, I want these things, but how am I actually implementing them in my life? How am I bringing that impact? And we're going to talk about how to find out if we are in just a minute. So do we have any questions right now? I'm going to pause there. Does anybody have anything they want to say? Anything touching their heart? Anybody going, well, what about this? What about that?
We're about halfway done. Amanda's going to talk for maybe another 10 minutes, and then we'll open it up for discussion. So anybody have any comments or questions?
My honest response right now is like, this is so wonderful. As soon as my children leave the house and go back to school, I'm going to block my life off in all these ways and accomplish so many things. But in the last year, I said my life went from 1.5 hour blocks to about 15-minute blocks because the kids were being dropped off and picked up and dropped off and online and offline. But anyway, in August, my life is going to be beautifully categorized.
Awesome.
I'm going to have space for all of it. That's what I'm thinking. Sorry.
Yes. And it takes work. I mean, to say that I do this to a T, absolutely not. Even being leaders and doing this stuff, we have to really put in the time and effort to make this. And then you build the habits and you build the habits and you build the habits. But it takes consistency. So thank you, Lauren, for sharing, and bless you. I don't have kids yet, so I have no idea. I cannot even, bless you. So how can I create a lasting impact? Who you are and how you act and interact is the foundation for opening up the great ideas we have. So think about when you're in your business. Sometimes I say the best inventions and the best innovations come, and usually businesses are started this way. Why? Because a problem happens, we see how to solve it, and then we bring it in. Now, there's so many times that we see ideas so fast that we're like, oh, that'd be so good. Oh, I should try this. Oh, I should do that. You should create, like, even if it be the worksheet you're going to get, a designated area to write down all your ideas. And then write down, who do you know that can help you accomplish this idea? If it's something that will benefit your company, that will maybe be something that could make things more efficient or run smoother, or even your own business, you're like, if I could just put that in. But we get them so fast and we're on the move. I would say have something on your phone, if it be notes, somewhere to keep track of all these great ideas that you get. So then you can go back at the end of the week and go, okay, here are my ideas. These look good. I'm going to just hold those in the back and we'll just see if those develop anymore. But sometimes we lose some of these great ideas because we're just so busy that we're like, I'm going to remember that. I'll write that down later. And then time passes. So just an idea to keep writing down everything for those business owners of you, and for those that are also, if you are talking to clients, this is just my own, the impact we have. Sometimes we don't know what's going to happen until it happens. Always be notating every conversation you have. I notate conversations with collaborators. I notate conversations with clients. Why? Because if it comes back and somebody says something that you can say, you know what, we met on May 26th and we talked about this, this, and this, and you have some kind of record of everything that's happening. Now, again, this is an impact that I have brought to my business, is that I want to make sure that I keep things in place. So your impact might be different, but it is just another, special nugget that you can take to your business of notating things so you don't forget later on. And God forbid, if you needed to pull that information, you've got it available. And your ideas, if you're writing your ideas and you're writing them on a time-stamp place, you can make sure that is your idea and not something that has become somebody else's idea because you've already created it, if it be inside of your business. So just good innovation keeping is keeping it on a timestamp. Keep your ideas outlined on time-stamped devices that you can see what day you started your idea. This is good for businesses, especially if you have IP, before you go and talk to other people as well, before you talk to collaborators, because you might create something, right? And it might then look like it's something you guys did together, but you could have had the idea first and it had been developed fully. So just keep these things in mind, that keeping track of things and the impact that we have on ourselves and our business and those we work with. Okay. Take time to ask questions, lots of questions, and listen. This is an impact. You think about, what am I doing? This is about building my network. Think about every time we get to sit down with somebody, are we actively listening? This has been a huge learning thing for me because I'm a quick talker and I think fast. But one thing that I saw was if I listen more and talk less in those conversations, that so many great things happen. So if you're working in a corporate space or if you are in your own business, listen as much as possible and ask a lot of questions, and then also ask feedback, even of your clients. What are we doing good? How can we do better? You can even ask some of the impact questions you want to know. Am I a good listener? Am I a good communicator? How am I communicating? How do I come across to you? Is it warm and inviting? You ask all those questions, whatever you want. I'll give you some today. And one of the other areas of impact, because everything we do has a consequence, right? It's got an effect, right? If I'm, there's been a few times where I have said something and I probably shouldn't have said that. And restoring integrity is probably the best way in any situation to not let not good things keep going. And you want to restore who you are and the impact you're making, especially by building networks. And so restoring integrity is basically just stating what you've done, what you promised, what was not kept, right? Like I was late. Like, let's say I was late, okay, so the promise was we were going to meet today at 11. I showed up at 11:10. And obviously you weren't able to start with me because I was late. And therefore, next time, what I'm going to put in place is I will set my alarm earlier and I'll make sure that I'm actually 10 minutes early. So this idea that I can restore integrity takes away any of those times that don't work for you and your impact and what you wanted to create. And then you actually get to bring people back around and closer to you. It's been one of the best gifts that I had learned a number of years ago and working in a business and making sure that we don't have any unkept business, that there's something, that you're not talking about. So I hope that helps you. Remember, impact is all about keeping consistent, going beyond the norm, taking time with people. It's amazing. And you probably already all know this. The time you take with people can be so valuable beyond what you will ever know. I know the time I've spent with Linda has been time, like I'm so grateful for her time. And that has touched my life and that has impacted me. And it's also been a reason why I bring many more women with me to this group because of that impact. So
yeah, you are the world's
there.
best connector, Amanda. Amazing. But, I also want to bring something that you were saying to this group too. You were talking about integrity and impact and the promises that each of you make to each other to get together with the confidential connections, to actually show up for each other, to actually lift each other up, encourage each other, promote each other, be together in this is an incredible opportunity for integrity and impact. What you have to offer each other is extraordinary. I know all of you, and I know what you have to offer, and it is significant. So please be sure that as you're thinking about creating impact and as you're thinking about living with integrity, take seriously the commitments that you've made for the confidential connections. If you said that you're going to meet on Wednesday at noon for 30 minutes, follow through. Really follow through on your commitments to each other, because this group of women can be one of your most important groups to lift you up, to encourage you, to advise you, to mentor you, but you have to get engaged and you have to follow through on your commitments.
Love it. Love it. Follow through. And that leads me into the part that makes that impact is that accountability factor. Now we can have an intention, right? That I want to create this impact, and that intention can be very good, right? It can come from a very pure place. And then we get into our role and in our what we're doing in our lives, and it gets busy and, things happen. And then we have made an impact. Now we don't know. Sometimes, there's times even in my own life where I think I am being a certain way, but the impact is not actually that same way for the person on the other side. And there's no way for us to know this unless we have the courage to ask somebody else. So I'm going to challenge you in this process. You've got this worksheet. It's going to talk about your role. It's going to talk about how are you developing yourself in your organization, really reverse engineering what you want to create. What can you bring to the table? All my ideas, everything that I've got inside of me that I can bring, the impact I'm going to have is enormous because I can bring so much to the organization, especially if it's your own. What are you able to do for your clients? And then there's this, how do I track what I'm actually doing? How am I learning? How am I growing? How am I tracking myself maybe even every week? Am I able to see the small incremental changes even in the short term versus the long term? Because if you're working on stuff in short term, we might derail if we don't keep ourselves accountable closer, right? You might say over a year, I had huge transformations. I did a lot, but sometimes we don't actually see the transformation and we get sometimes discouraged because we're not actually seeing that we're moving. And that takes us to have just a conscious choice. And the impact we want to have is tracking what we're doing and asking other people to evaluate us in how we are doing in this. I had an example of a young lady last night. I was talking to a group and I was kind of prepping for this. And she said, she goes, you know, I'm a really nice person and I'm really good at connecting with people. And she goes, I just wasn't doing it in my job that much as I wanted to. And so she goes, I tested it out. I tried for a couple weeks and I just was really like wanted to connect and really was there for people. And she goes, after 2 weeks, people said, what's going on? There's something different about you. And she didn't know that choice that she had made and the action she took, right? Her purpose was, I want to give back and I want to connect, led to an impact that was everybody saw that she was actually wanting to connect and make a difference. And that's so huge. Even in a short period of time, we can have a huge impact. Sometimes we think, oh, I've got to change my whole life and there's no way I could do all that. No, it's just choosing in that moment and then just doing it. People can see, especially if they work close with you, any type of changes, right? Any type of shifts, any type of things that are happening, and you get to choose that every day. So self-assessing every week, things you can ask yourself for a self-assessment. Did I work as hard as I could have? Did I maintain my purpose impact standards for myself? The standards that I set, did I keep them? Did I keep my promises to myself and to others? Did I spend the time needed for the quality of work I wanted to bring to the table? Did I manage my procrastination and distractions to complete the work that I had put efficiently? Did I ask for help if I was needed? By the way, Linda, I can send these to you if anybody wants them. And did I make good use of my resources? Did I ask others? Did I connect with others to get help? And did I review my work for possible errors? Did I go beyond the norm this week? Could I show my work to this past month to the world and be proud to do it? Now that's a personal reflection, and you can just think about that. If I were to do this every single week, what would be possible for my career? What would be possible for the impact I want to have in my business? What could be possible for my growth every single week? And if you answered no to any of those, you ask, where did I get stuck? And what can I put in place next week? Because sometimes we get stuck at no, and they're like, well, that stunk. That week was not good. But no, it's just, what did I learn? Where did I get stuck? And what can I do better? It's always this progression of moving forward, not ever being stuck behind. And you can ask others, how is my current job knowledge? What is my quality of work? And where can I get better? How is my punctuality and attendance? And how can I get better? How's my productivity? How can I get better? How are my communication skills? How can I get better? How dependable am I? And how can I get better? And I would say on these questions, and I'll send them to Linda, ask them of yourself first, and then ask somebody else, and then see if they align. And I would ask 2 to 3 people and see if that aligned. And then you'll start getting real feedback for yourself. And this is something you probably do, maybe it's once a quarter, not every, you test yourself and assess yourself every week, but then once a quarter it comes back and you ask others. So that's it. Ask these for yourself. And that's where I wanted to stop. This is all about creating the impact and what we have. You can create whatever you want. Now it's just the ability for you to go out and do it.